Welcome, dear friends. What a blessed day to be together studying the Spiritist magazine. Welcome every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We gathered to study one of the articles from one of the issues of the Spiritist magazine. We always remind everybody, if you're new or not, visit spiritistmagazine.org in order to download the PDF version of the magazine and also the apps for your devices. So today we are here to learn from Emmanuel. So this message is from issue 48 and it's titled Tolerance and Coherence. And it's by Emmanuel through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. So I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see what the Spiritist magazine looks like when you download the PDF version of the magazine. The center of the screen is the magazine itself. On the left side would be the thumbnails for the Spiritist magazine, and you can scroll down and go out about all of the issues, all of the articles, so on and so forth. So we're going to keep scrolling until we find so many beautiful messages. There you go. Message by the Spirit Emmanuel through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. The PDF version of the magazine, its message, page 20. Excuse me. It's springtime here in Richmond, Virginia. We get the blessings of pollen around us. So here we are. Beautiful scenery. This is from the book Spiritist Opinion by Emmanuel and other spirits. So now what we're going to do is hide the sidebar. As we always do, we like to keep the main message and focus on reading and discussing it one paragraph at a time. Our goal is not only to know and understand, but also to try and apply these teachings to our daily lives. So Emmanuel says, always understand and forgive, because we all need understanding and forgiveness in the hours of uncertainty. But observe coherence so that the dikes of tolerance do not collide, eroded by systematic carelessness, sponsoring disorder. So first question of the day, are we always understanding and forgiving? Let's get a text selection so we can select. So are we always understanding and forgiving? The answer may be sometimes, most of the times, not always, right? Rarely. I guess for most of us on the earth, imperfect spirits. If we go back to the Spirit's book, question and answers would be from question and answer 100 all the way 113, 116. We have the hierarchy of spirits. If we go back and look, most of us are in the imperfect spirit category. So we are working towards understanding and forgiveness, because we all need understanding and forgiveness in the hours of uncertainty. So perhaps the uncertainty is where to go, what to do, which values do we have. Perhaps the uncertainty is with the global news and the global cycle of news and what's going to happen to our country, what's going to happen to the world. This was published in March. I believe it's March or April of 2020, January of 2020, when we're in the beginning of the pandemic. So the spirits are bringing to us, be understanding and forgiving in these times of uncertainty. And we spend 4 years in uncertainty, right? Jesus said, Emmanuel continues, and the Lord taught us to truly love them. Excuse me, let me make this too many words in. All right. So we record this for you. We do this lives. So Jesus said, quote, love your enemies, unquote. And the Lord taught us to truly love through his own examples of humility without servility and loyalty without ignorance. So we look always for the example of Jesus. We go back to the Gospels, we go back to Jesus in the home, we go back to the books of Brother X, Good News, for example, and then we do what? We come down and look at what did Jesus do on this situation? And then we follow. Humility without servility, loyalty without arrogance. He knew that Judas, Jesus knew, the unwary disciple, was gradually shifting into the realm of the adversaries who were fighting against his renewing message. So, of course, Jesus knew that Judas was slipping away. On the pretext of loving one's enemy, he, Jesus, could have been allowed to remove him away, or Judas away from the small village in order to preserve it. But Jesus preferred to extend the fraternal hands to him until the last crisis of abandonment, teaching us the duty to help our fellow workers who are doing good as long as it is possible for us to do so. So Jesus knew Judas was going to falter and betray him, and Emmanuel was reminding us Jesus could have been allowed to remove Judas and say, go away, let me do a ministry to preserve the message, the renewing message of Christ, that we are still 2025, 2,000 years ago, roughly, right? Jesus was about 38 when he was crucified. So 2,000 years ago, we are still not clarified the message of Jesus in our hearts. It's not clear to us what we should be doing. So we return to this physical world. We immerse ourselves in matter. It's hard, it's difficult. And then we get seduced by the temptations of today's world, which are what, friends? Social media, adventures, experiences, right? Experiences, traveling, enjoying. And then we don't do the work because Jesus didn't. We never saw Jesus doing any of those things. He didn't mind being contrarian. He broke, some rules. He renewed the rules of his time. He taught and he worked and he served. There is no accounts in the Spiritist literature or in the official Gospels, the letters in the Gospels, that Jesus was just out there traveling through Galilee just so he could stamp his passport in each village. Yet we are doing this today. We are focusing so much in the physical sensations, which are important. There's a lot of labor, but there's also rest. But most of us have 80% rest and 10% work and 10% scrolling doomless in social media, right? We have to be honest with ourselves. How are we using the time that we have? Jesus could have said, in the pretext of loving, let's love the enemies, let's love Judas, let's reroute him. But no, he preferred to extend fraternal hands until the last crisis of abandonment. All the apostles abandoned Jesus. And even at the cross, this is in the book of News, while he was taking his last breaths in the physical body, he summoned superior spirits to help Judas while he was taking his own life. He was committing suicide, right? So he sent the messengers, even when after during and after the abandonment and the crime against divine laws that Judas was doing. He was not unaware, Jesus, was not unaware that the supervisors of the Sanhedrin were plotting against him. Jesus knew, right? The powers to be were plotting against him. But in the pretext of loving his enemies, he could have asked them for cordial meetings to discuss domestic policy, promoting setbacks and compromises in order to spare his own friends trouble. This is what's happening to the world and the leadership of each country. We go there and we ask for favors for those who we need, instead of looking what would be the best for the populace. But Jesus, preferred to endure the senseless persecution, teaching us that teaching us that one should not contend in the matter of spiritual guidance with educated and conscientious people, fully informed of the obligations imposed on them by the responsibility that the higher knowledge they possess prescribes them. So we are not here to defer to a spiritual guru, right? There was a Sanhedrin, the many factions of the Jewish people of the time, who was also the place where they discussed the Torah and the law, and it was a place where the judges were making deliberations, was a place of politics, right, of the time, where they were negotiating with the Romans who were imposing upon them at the time. So Jesus said, no, those are fully informed of the obligation. That's us today. We are fully informed of the obligations we have because the laws are inscribed in our conscience. God is putting us on the earth, wherever we are. In the Spiritist doctrine, we are fully aware of the spiritual realm, of immortality of the soul, that we're reincarnated with a plan, yet we don't do it. The higher knowledge is still not permeating through the actions of everyday life. He found out that Pilate, the dubious judge, acted inconsiderably. That's the powers of Rome, right? On the pretext of loving his enemies, it would not have been difficult for Jesus to appeal to the higher court. But he preferred to bear the unjust sentence, teaching us that the attitude of all of those who sincerely seek the truth should not be evasive. So if we have something to do, we bear the unjust sentence. We don't evade our obligations, even if the people around us are persecuting us. He realized, Jesus, in the supreme sacrifice, that the crowd went wild. There's this scene in the book Good News that shows that there was this whole realm of spirits partaking in the crucifixion of Jesus, inciting the crowd while he was being murdered. It happens every time. You see the mobs coming, you see the people enjoying Mardi Gras and Carnival and crazy with the sensations of the physical body. There's a whole horde of spirits who are there enjoying those less than ideal conditions with the incarnate beings. And that's us. When we are vigilant, the spirits partake in our daily lives. They speak through us, they incite us, and then we see ourselves doing things, saying things, thinking things that we don't understand. It's because we are not watchful and prayerful. So this is the crowd cheering the crucifixion of the Christ. Who knows? Maybe some of us were there as well. On the pretext of loving his enemies, it was perfectly fitting for Jesus to claim the extension of services rendered by asking commiseration from the public, so that his nascent work would be spared. He could have pleaded with the crowd, because he was like, these are quote-unquote enemies. Those who were persecuting Jesus. They were cheering his crucifixion, which is a very painful and cruel way of killing someone. Jesus was murdered by the powers to be. He was betrayed by one of his disciples. He was betrayed by the Sanhedrin, and he was betrayed by the Romans. They murdered him, and the crowd is there cheering on him. But he preferred silence and to depart, invoking forgiveness for divine providence for the executioners themselves. So he's saying, this is my Father's will. It's a Christ spirit. Let's think about what kind of discipline, what kind of humility without servility, tolerance, allowing people to exercise their free will while they were killing the Christ of the planet. And what does he teach us when he asks God to forgive his executioners at the cross? He says, teaching us that we must bless those who hurt us and pray for them. Now, friends, we're not condoning violence against anybody, but if someone is doing something against us, we need to bless them. We pray for them because they're sick. Of course, there are, thank God, on this planet now, ways for us to remove from society and rehabilitate those who are committing crimes against one another, right? We're not condoning violence. We're not saying it's okay. It's not. But if it happens to us, this is what we do. Without, however, rewarding them with carelessness, so that carelessness does not claim growth with our support. So we are not allowing them to go unpunished, right? Unchecked. What did Jesus understood that we hope that we can understand today? The Christ Spirit descending from the higher realms to incarnate on the earth. What is he teaching us? He understood everyone, all of the billions of people. Today we have 8 billion incarnates and 2 times at least more discarnate. So there's about 28, 30 billion spirits living off of the energy of the earth. Jesus benefited everyone. He continues to do so. Your family, yourself, your loved ones, those who are your enemies, we call enemies, right? He helped and enlightened everyone. This is what we do in our daily lives because we say we're Christians. We say we want to follow the Christ. So are we understanding everyone, benefiting everyone, helping and enlightening everyone, showing us the charity, expressing pure love, is similar to the sun that embraces all, but did not compromise with evil. So he is giving over his heart to his higher realms, guiding us through our lives on the planet, granting us this opportunity of living here under the guidance of God, of course. He sent us the good spirits that guide us. He sent us our mentors and guides. We can pray for Jesus. He's doing all of that. Just like the sun comes for all. The sun, which is the byproduct of the mental activity of the superior spirits who live there, provides you and I with the ability to have a physical body on the planet Earth. Because the sun fuels the plants, the microbes, right? It fuels the animals that consume the plants, and we consume the plants. So it's all due to the tolerance, coherence, patience, and benefit of the superior spirits that allow us to be here. So we are all interconnected. Nobody's alone. We're not growing in our lives alone. We're not being alone. This means that outside of charity, there's no tolerance, and there's no tolerance without coherence. So are we coherent in the way that we understand people, we benefit them, we do good towards them, we help them, we enlighten them? And what kind of charitable works are we doing for our immediate circle, for our neighborhoods, for our religious institutions, for our spiritist centers, for our workplaces, for our city? Because we cannot be the ones who just receive. We have to give. There's no, outside of charity, there's no tolerance. And when we do charitable works, we go and help those who need on their own terms. So we learn to remove ourselves from the center of attention to be of service to others. So dear friends, this is from the book Spiritist Opinion, psychographed by both Chico Xavier and Valdo Vieira. Those are the mediums. This message specifically is by Emmanuel. Oops, let's get here. Through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. Dear friends, I hope that you enjoyed these teachings, that we can practice tolerance and coherence throughout the week, that God will bless us with the opportunity of being together once more every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to leave your like, your follow, your subscribe, share, so that others can also benefit from our work. May you stay well, may you stay safe, and I hope to see you next time. See you soon. Bye-bye.